Wait a minute, I hear something.
Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Blueberry News! Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Yeah!
Hey, here's an idea. How about we make a movie and let's take part of The Exorcist and Nightmare on Elm Street and Carrie and Phantasm and put it all together. Yeah, that's what we got here, folks. Welcome back to Dr. Movie. And following up with Prom Night, we got Prom Night 2, which is called Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. And yeah, this pretty much is everything I just described. It's kind of a fever dream of a movie, but it's pretty dang awesome. Came out in 1987. It's considered a horror/crime movie. I don't know where we get the whole crime thing, but okay. Yeah, man, this is a fun one. Let's see if I can read all this. Decades after a promiscuous teen, Mary Lou Mahoney, dies during a prank gone wrong, she returns as a spirit, out for revenge and eager to punish the culprit. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. This movie's kind of bonkers, folks. I mean, if you think about the things I just told you, right? Take a slice of The Exorcist, throw it in here. You take the dream sequences from Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, maybe a dash of 3 in there. You take some scenes that look like they were lifted straight off of Phantasm. Yeah, I mean, so really, if you're a horror fan, this movie hits all the right buttons, and in an entertaining way. That's the other thing, is not only are you getting kind of fed things that you already enjoy, but it's done in such an entertaining way you can't help but like it. And you get a heavy dose of Michael Ironside, right? So you can't go wrong there. So why to watch? It's intense, scary, and suspenseful. I don't know about all that. It's fun and entertaining, full of inventive effects, and performances are surprisingly well scripted. Yeah, I mean, the effects are as good as anything that come out in this time period. That's also very surprising. Here's another one that says Prom Night 2 provides some nice jump scares, which it does. It pulls one straight out of Shock by Lamberto Bava. Well, that's Mario Bava. Lamberto kind of directed some of it. Lots of pull focus, dreamy hallucinations, and well, just 80s stabby fun. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. Here's another one that says Prom Night 2 is entertaining as a crazed killer flick, but it's a fun fantasy horror on top of that. Yeah, you kind of get away from the serial killer setup of what we get with the original, and we're more into a supernatural Freddy Krueger spiritual revenge kind of flick, right? Because she's got all those powers that we just assume, a vengeful spirit would have, like traveling through electricity and being able to just change things and make people hallucinate, and it ties into all that 80s stuff that we just we appreciate. So let's see, as far as a cast, not a lot to talk about that I know of. Our main character is Vicky Carpenter. There you go. I think maybe we're even taking a chance of using names of past directors here. Played by Wendy Lyon, and I'm not exactly sure what else she has been in. Let's look. Y'all probably going, oh yeah, this, and this. I'm looking, folks. I'm looking. I don't really. The Shape of Water. Shape of Water. She was in that. That's about the only thing I've seen that she's been in. So, but doesn't matter because, like I said, we get a heavy, heavy dose of Michael Ironside. And if you're a fan like I am, you can't go wrong with that. I'm trying to get back to my page. He plays Bill Nordum. And Lisa Scrooge plays Mary Lou, which, let's see what she's been in. She was in Gnaw, Food of the Gods Part 2. A high-flying movie for sure. That's the only thing I know of. But anywho, it doesn't matter. I think we've got the right characters for the movie to make this thing work. And this thing is a lot of fun. You start off in the 50s, like the 80s loves to do, right? Let's start off back then and bring it up to modern time. And we were, in case you don't know, if you totally missed growing up in the 80s was fascinated with the 50s. Sounds weird. It's that thing, though. You kind of grow up appreciating the things your parents lived through. It feels like it's a part of you, right? Just like, you know, a lot of kids like classic rock and stuff because their parents or our age group grew up playing that kind of music, and the kids kind of like it the same, right? So yeah, I mean, we would have sock hops, all that kind of stuff at school back, you know, in this time period, which is, when you look back at it, it's like, yeah, it's kind of weird, but that's what had happened. So this starts in the 50s, and we meet Mary Lou. She's going into, this is heavily, you know, pushed on a Catholic church scenario. It starts off with her in the confession booth, and she talks about being promiscuous and being with all these different guys and being a bad girl. And then she finishes off by saying, and I enjoyed every minute of it, and walks out of the booth. So it kind of sets up, she's kind of a wild child for the time, right? And it's prom night. She goes to prom. She's going with a young Bill, which is Michael Ironside's character when he's young. Not played by Michael Ironside, but a young guy that looks a lot like him. And she goes with Bill, but she ends up messing around with other guys while she's there. And Bill finds out about it, and he's upset, and she's like, hey, doesn't matter who you come with, it matters who you leave with, right? So she's already moved on to somebody else. He's upset. He's in the bathroom kind of freshening up, and it's time to announce the queen. And there's a couple of guys that were making a stink bomb, which is an old-fashioned thing to do too. And they made this stink bomb, and it's got a fuse on it. And while they're making it, they find out the principal's coming. And then they're in the bathroom, so they end up ditching it, throwing it in the trash, taking off. Well, Bill, being that he's upset, decides that I'm going to ruin her getting the crown, being nominated as queen, by using the stink bomb. And while he goes overhead and she's accepting the crown, she hadn't got it yet, the girl goes to get it to put it on her head. He throws down the stink bomb, and again, he lights the fuse, and when it comes down, it gets too close to her dress, and it catches Mary Lou on fire, and she burns to death. And the other guy that she was messing around with acts like he tries to put her out with his jacket, but then he just kind of backs off. So she's taking in all this while she's burning alive, right? And she even looks up and sees Bill up there. Then we flash forward 30 years, and Bill is now the principal of a school. Is he a principal of a school? Yeah. And his son is in love with a young Vicky Carpenter. And she's in a household where the mom is super strict, the dad's, on her side. It's getting close to prom time, and she's wanting a new dress, but her mom says, nope, your green dress will be fine, and plus she's going to make her dress real conservative, all that kind of stuff. But she's in love with the principal's son. The mom don't like that. So it's one of those relationships, right? But she's a good girl, right? And as the story goes on, and because it's prom 30 years later, there's an old traveling clothes bag, box, cabinet. It's one of those old style traveling cases that you keep all your clothes in. And apparently all the stuff from the incident that happened at this school is put away in this box, right? To be locked away and sealed forever. And there's another young character we get introduced to, and again, we're getting ready for prom, and you get your whole showcase of regulars here, right? You get the girls that are the snooty girls that get whatever they want. One of them's trying to rig the election of the queen because she wants to be queen, and she's getting with the nerdy computer whiz who's in charge of all the voting, the electronic voting, and she's trying to rig that, which, she has to pay for that in her own terms. So you get all these characters, and we meet this young lady who is kind of the oddball. She's got the crazy hair, dresses kind of wild. She's talking about going to prom, but she's all upset. And turns out, in a flash, we find out this young lady has been involved with a person, and she thought that this guy liked her, and she keeps calling him and leaving him messages, but he won't call her back. And then we find out she's also pregnant. So she's got one of those situations going on, and she's real upset. And because prom is so important, again, I'm a guy, so I don't get it. I don't get the whole, the whole thing. But anywho, but then this girl goes upstairs to find something to wear, right? Going through old play costumes and stuff, and she finds the big, traveling case, and finds the crown that was Mary Lou's crown that she never got put on her head, and she pulls that crown out and tries to take one of the jewels out, and actually she does. And when she does, it wakes up Mary Lou's spirit, and now it's all happening. And just like in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, when the boy gets strangled to death in the jail cell by his blanket, that kind of happens here with this girl. She gets hung up over the lights and strangled to death by a cape that she's wearing. So you get all these things that are really tied into the other movies that we enjoy. And from there, as this movie goes on, she ends up possessing Vicky, taking over her body and causing havoc, knocking off all these other teens one by one, and also getting her revenge on the guys that did this to her back 30 years ago. There's a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street in this movie. Lots of dream state stuff that's done really well. There's some effects that I was like, wow, that's actually really good. There's a scene where Vicky is in her room, and she knows there's an evil spirit there because she's got this huge rocking horse that's in her room, and the face of it becomes kind of possessed. It's got red eyes, and she's trying to get the spirit to leave, and it throws her on the bed and throws a sheet over her, and all of a sudden you start seeing all these hands coming up around her and grabbing her. So it's very well done. There's a scene where she goes through a chalkboard and pulled into a dark pool, and there's the letters that were written on the board are floating around. I mean, it's really well done. And I'd forgotten so much of this. I guess because we were just bombarded with movies at the time. But going back and seeing this new, it's really made me think, wow, you know, this movie was very ambitious for it being what it is. And I'm sure, I didn't do any research on this, but I'm sure that they wanted to capitalize off the name of Prom Night, and just, even though it has nothing to do with the original, I mean, absolutely nothing. It just seemed a way to capitalize off that Prom Night name. And you know what? So what? Doesn't matter, because this thing is fun, and it's very, very well done. I think the casting is right. You kind of get pulled in. You got Michael Ironside, who's doing his best John Saxon. I mean, that's the best you can describe this, right? But that's kind of where I'm going to leave it, because if you have not seen this one, I highly recommend it. It's that fun factor that we're missing with the movies now. I think horror movies are supposed to be a little tongue-in-cheek. They can make you go, wow, that was crazy, instead of trying to be so realistic. I mean, you know, the whole point of making horror movies is to help you deal with the evil that really happens. So, hey, movie makers, bring that back. Bring back the fun, right? Yeah, there's some great jump scares or popcorn shots, whatever you want to call it, in this. It's just good. It's good all the way around. And that transformation of Vicky turning into Mary Lou, where she's even using the language from the 50s, see you later, alligator, that's my name, don't wear it out. All these kind of things starts happening. She starts dressing different. Everybody's going, what is going on with her, right? I like all that. You know, that's definitely an 80s trope. But there's a scene where Vicky becomes the prom queen, and things just go from there. And there's some impressive stuff in this movie as far as effects. So do yourself a favor, check this one out. I give this a 4 out of 5. I'm going to say a 4.5 out of 5. I think this is very enjoyable, a lot better than I remember, and it holds up. So do yourself a favor, check out Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2. It's on Tubi for free, yo. All right, that's it for this one. Let me know if you got any recommendations, and we'll try to get them as ASAP. Till then, we will check you later.